become a mature adult who can do things for yourself, but most importantly, do things for others in serving God through the church. So, that's the why. We know the what. What is the what? We're going to love God. We're going to love others. The why is so we can grow and become mature under the headship of Christ. That should be the goal of everybody in this room, if you're serious about your walk with Christ, is to become mature, not staying a baby. So we know the what, we know the why, now we need to know the how, which we also find in the book of Ephesians chapter 4. Verse 15 says, instead, speaking the truth in love, we will grow to become in every respect the mature body. So we will grow to become every respect the mature body, right? That's what we've been talking about. Of him who is the head. Who's the head? Jesus Christ. You've heard this before. If you come to church at all, you know that Christ is the head of the body. Who's the body? We're the body. We are the hands and feet of Jesus. We are the ones who are to go out into the world and do his work. Okay? All right. Next, from him, the whole body. There we are again. See that? We hear a lot of we. We hear a lot of whole body. Obviously, it's talking about not just an individual person. It's talking about all of us, right? It says, the whole body joined and held together by every supporting ligament grows. Interesting. So in order to be a part of a body that's growing, you need to be held together by every supporting ligament. Growth happens within the body. About 4 years ago. Well, 7 years ago, I cut my hand really bad on a table saw, doing something I shouldn't have been doing. Very stupid. But I messed some things up, and I knew that probably someday it was going to cause me some difficulties. So fast forward about 3 years later, I'm putting on a Christmas sweater, for crying out loud. And as I'm stretching my arm through, I hear a pop in my arm. Literally a pop right up in here. And it was like, well, that's weird. It didn't really hurt. What was that? Well, then I looked at my thumb, and it was like that. And so I looked at my other thumb, and I went, okay. And then I looked at this thumb, and I went, didn't move. My head was telling it to move. But the ligament to my thumb was broken. That's what that pop was. The ligament that goes down your arm to your thumb was gone. So there it is. Pretty useless now. It's no longer attached to my body. It's just going to do that. And no matter how hard I tell it to do something, it wouldn't. So ultimately, if I was to leave my thumb like that, it's probably going to atrophy. It's probably going to get smaller and weaker, and who knows what might ultimately end up happening from not using it at all. But I decided, okay, well, I'm going to go get this fixed. So I went to the surgeon, and I don't know if you knew this or not, but your index finger and your pinky actually have 2 ligaments each going to those fingers. I can see the index finger, not quite sure why the pinky. But he took one of the ligaments, so he did surgery here, cut there, cut up here, cut right here. He went down and cut one of the ligaments up here, pulled it back, reattached it to my thumb, and now look at my thumb go. It's back. It's doing the work it's supposed to be doing. My head tells it to move, and it moves. Very important. If it wasn't attached by the ligaments, if it wasn't part of the body, if it wasn't plugged into me, it would do nothing. It would be worthless. So growth happens within the body. As the body grows, you grow. And it continues on, as we've said, from the whole body joined and held together by every supporting ligament. We're all held together by supporting ligaments. We grow and we build ourselves up in love. Where do we hear love? Well, all the way back in the beginning of the what? There's a dog. Interesting. Sorry, there's a dog here. I didn't know where he came from. He wants to hear a great message today. Sorry, buddy. It's just me up here today. All right, anyway. Do you want to come up here and join me? Anybody know whose dog it is? No? I can honestly say that has never happened to me before. I have. Oh, it's Toto. Well, of course it's Toto. And I'm the Wicked Witch of the West. That's fine. All right, where was I? I have no idea. Oh, that's right. Building itself up in love. And who are we to love? We are to love God and love others as each part does its work. So if you want to grow and you want to mature, you need to love God and love others by being connected to the body and doing its work. Some of you know my testimony. Many of you don't know my testimony. I don't have this wild and crazy conversion story of coming to Christ. I have what I would like to say more a longevity testimony. Because from a very young age, my parents were sitting right there in the back there, had me in church all the way from when I was a baby through high school. And I remember when I was there, I obviously went to children's church and I went to preschool, but then I also enjoyed serving within the church. That was instilled in me, the joy of serving within the church. So guess what? When I went off to college, I didn't really go off the rails. In fact, I didn't. In fact, I became more committed to Christ. I got involved in a church. I started serving again. Well, then I came down here in 1988 to go to seminary. I got plugged in a church while I was in seminary to serve and to attend and be a part of it. Then I came and started working for a large church, was executive pastor, one of the executive pastors at this large church, and even within that large church, my goal was to obviously attend, but also to serve within that church. Now here at ACC for the past 2 years, that has been what Carrie and I have tried to do. Obviously to attend, but also to serve together. Now, why do we do that? Well, because I've learned ultimately that by being plugged into the body and doing its work. Now, when we say do its work, you need to realize that sometimes coming to church, sometimes worshiping, sometimes serving is work. If we always just waited for, oh yeah, I'm ready to go, I love it, here we go, we probably wouldn't be serving very much. I know I wouldn't have. I know there are still times where it's like, oh, serving or going to church. But I've learned over the years how important it is. Why? Because I want to be a part of the body. I want to serve within the body. I want to work within the body. I want to have the ligaments wrapped around me so that I can serve in the body and I can do what? I can grow. And ultimately, we grow by showing love to God and love to others. So what better place ultimately to do this than the church? I can't think of another place weekly where you could come and get plugged in to a body of people where you can grow and mature. That's why we do, so we're talking about two different things. We're talking about working at loving God and working at loving others. What does it mean to work at loving God? Well, when you attend church, you are working at loving God. Ever wonder why we sing together? Where else do you go in your life on a weekly basis or a regular basis and just sing with a bunch of people? Not very often, do you? Why do we do that? Well, we do it because that is a way to honor and show love to God. Why do we show testimonies? Why do we pray? Why do we give our financial aspects to the church? Because that is our way of working at loving God. And again, it's not always about the ushy-gushy feeling that you get when you do it. Sometimes it's just about like when you got to work out and you don't want to go work out, but you know that if you don't go work out, you're going to regret it because you're going to get smaller and smaller. Then ultimately, I mean, not Justin or Dustin, he never gets smaller. He just gets bigger. I don't even know, did you still work out? No, you're just born now, it's genetics. I knew it. Genetics. We do that because we want to grow, we want to mature. Well, that's the same thing here. So let me ask you, when you come in to church on Sunday mornings, what time do you get here? 10 after? 15 after? 20 after? When you do come in and they're singing, do you participate? Or is it just kind of like, oh, let's get this 20 minutes over so we can hear a mediocre message and go home? No. Ultimately, we do that because that is a way. The Bible commands us to sing praises to God. That's our way of participating within the body, of doing and growing and maturing toward Christ. So it's important. You guys being here every weekend, participating in loving God through worship and through all the things that we just talked about. Well, also, that's working at loving God. We also got to work at loving others. What other better avenue, again, do we do that than within the church? We have some incredible volunteers. Incredible volunteers. I was out there this morning with the guys, and it's like 27 below zero, and we're unloading the truck, and all the gear has been in the truck. It's our, I'm the only stupid one that didn't wear gloves. They all at least had gloves on. But it's cold out there, and they're out there serving. They're being part of the body. They're connected to the body. They're working within the body. We've got volunteers right now, students and adults that are working in kids ministry, preschool and children. We got ushers, we got greeters, we got parkers, we got all of the people that work with students like Greg was talking about. All of these are avenues and ways for us as the body to work together to grow and become mature. So if you're not serving, or you're not coming to church on a regular basis, you have to kind of ask the question, do I want to mature? Because this is the answer. The answer is within the church body, you are connected and joined by a huge ligament that stretches all the way from pew to pew to pew, or whatever we call these. Ultimately, that is what joins us together, and as we're joined together, then we grow. People say, well, I'll just go to church and once in a while. I mean, I have my own time with God, up in the mountains or out hunting or whatever. Or, I could just watch it online. I don't need to come. The Bible says, and it's not my words, it's the Bible's words. And it's all about you and growing you. As pastors, as leaders, ultimately that's what our desire for you is, for you to be able to grow. And so we have to communicate to you what it takes to grow, and what it takes is getting plugged in on a regular basis to the life of the church. If you're feeling like, man, my life just isn't what I want it to be, I don't feel spiritually mature, then do a gauge of how often you're here at church and whether you're serving at church. A while back on the church that I was at, my team did a video. And it's kind of funny because it shows how oftentimes pastors, leaders in the church approach people about serving. Let's watch it.
Hello. Are you looking for a volunteer ministry that's fun and has lots of wow factor? Well, then you need to come on down to the children's ministry, where it's fun all the time. Yay! Enthusiasm and fun are our core principles, and it's seen in all we do. So don't delay, come on down today. The children's ministry, where we don't stop having fun and until you do. Hi. We need volunteers for our fun and safe children's ministry. Your help would be ever so appreciated as we try and make a difference in these kids' lives. They don't bite most of the time. But please, know that we have everything under control. Come on down. Join us. Please. Please send volunteers. Anybody. The kids are running all over us. I'm dying here. This ship is going down, man, and I'm not going down alone. We can't last much longer. Please come. Please. Please.
That's usually the way it is, right? The leaders come to you with a guilt trip. Man, we really need you. Things are just going crazy. If you don't help us, the whole church is probably going to end up starting on fire next week. Or we'll make you feel guilty about coming to church. You know, the pastor really likes to have a full house, so we really need you to come. There's a guilt trip there. Or we'll try and trick you into serving. You know, it's only for 3 months, and then we never see you. You never see me again. It's like, is that guy ever coming back? I've been in this for 27 years. Where is he? Now, obviously, that's not the reason that we do it. Our approach here at Argyle Community Church will never be, will you do me a favor? We won't come to you with our hat in our hand saying, you know, I know you really don't want to do this. I know that you're really busy, and if you could just give me a couple of weeks, I won't bother you anymore. We won't ever do that. We'll never come and say, can you do me a favor? We'll always come to you asking you, can I do you a favor? What do I mean by that? Well, if you've been listening to what I just said, or if you're just waking up, I'll review you in just a second. But if you've been listening to what I've said, you realize that our job as leaders of the church is not to make you feel guilty. God will provide volunteers. I've done this for a long time, and every time I'm all panicked about there not being enough volunteers in kids ministry or wherever else, God provides. But we're concerned about you and your growth and your maturity. And we realize that the only way that you are going to mature is ultimately for you to get plugged into this body. And that means coming on a regular basis, working at worshiping and loving God, working at serving. That's why I serve. You know, I don't, and please, I hate to even bring this out. It's not tooting my own horn, because I don't even like to talk about it that much. But I think it's a good example of what I've learned. People ask me, why in the world are you always here first thing in the morning and the last one to leave? Why do you do that? You're just a volunteer. That's true. But I've realized that my spiritual growth is wrapped around serving within the body. My spiritual growth is wrapped around worshiping with the body. Again, my testimony is one of longevity, and I know a lot of the growth that I have in my life is because I learned this a long time ago. You need to be plugged in. So let's read. We know the what. We are to love God and love others. These are the same ones I showed you about halfway through the message. The why. Why? So we can grow and become mature under the headship of Christ. When Christ looks at us, hopefully we're doing this, not that. And finally, the how. By plugging into the body as it works at loving God through worship and works at loving others by serving them. Someday, when you guys stand before God, and every one of you that I'm making eye contact with, Some of you are not making eye contact with me. You will stand before God. It's guaranteed, because you're going to die and God's there. So when you stand before God, hopefully you won't look like this. That would be embarrassing. Some of you might be going, oops, if I was to die right now, I might look like that. I need to do something about it. I'd rather have you look like this. Pardon the Marvel reference. It's the best I could come up with. Somebody who's really strong, mature, and doing the right thing for the right reasons. That's our goal for you. So now you know it. Now you know why we ask you to serve on a regular basis. It's not to make you feel guilty. It's because we love you. We want what's best for you. But we can't make you. Ultimately, in the end, the ball is in your court. Let's pray. Dear Heavenly Father, I thank you for the opportunity to come up this morning and just share a little bit about how we can become successful, how we can become mature, how we can move out of that high chair and into adult clothes. God, I know that this has probably been convicting for a lot of people here. I pray that you would just keep that commitment there, that conviction there, that conviction would turn into commitment. And that all of us would figure out ways, how can I better plug into the body? Can I be discipling someone outside the church? Can I be working with students during the week? Can I be serving on Sunday mornings, whether it be the setup or tear down or both? Or serving in the kids ministry, or ushering, or parking, or greeting, whatever it might be. God, help us to understand in a deep way that if we want to become mature, we've got to get plugged into the body, because the body is connected to you. And we know that all growth only comes as we're participating with you in that. We thank you. We love you. In Jesus' name. One more thing before I go and the worship team comes up here. We have a class for children. In 2 weeks, we're going to be doing a baptism. We have a class called Kid Faith. You probably got a flyer if you were here last week, or you might have got a flyer earlier. It's right after the service. I'll be leading it. Lasts about a half hour, 40 minutes. And what it does is it talks to your kids about salvation. And once they've accepted Christ as their Savior, what to do with their salvation. So if you would like to attend to that, you don't have to sign up or anything like that. Just go down, pick up your kids, and we'll be meeting right off of the cafeteria out there. So thank you. You guys have been a great audience. Let me turn it over to our worship team.
So let's stand together real quick, and we're going to sing one last final chorus together. It's just going to be, I don't want to miss a single word you speak, because everything you say is life to me. So I don't want to miss one word you speak, because everything you say is life to me. And I don't want to miss one word you speak, so quiet my heart and listen. One more time, I don't want to miss. So I don't want to miss one word you speak, so everything you say is life to me. And I don't want to miss one word you speak, so quiet my heart and listen. All right, Charles.